There's a strange paradox at the heart of trading. The very moment you stop chasing profits, well, that's often the moment the market finally begins to reward you. It's a truth that just runs completely counter to our instinct to work harder to get more. So let's explore why the most powerful tool in a trader's arsenal isn't some complex strategy, but something way more fundamental: patience. Okay, so let's get right into it. When you first start out, you're on this big hunt for a magic bullet, right? You're absolutely convinced that success is hidden somewhere in a perfect system, some secret formula that's just going to unlock the market. And this belief, this idea that if you can just find the right strategy, everything else will just fall into place, that's the first great trap. Maybe for you, it's that special indicator you saw online. You know the one, with all the flashy colors and complex math that promises to predict the future. You add it to your chart, and for a minute, you fully believe you've just been handed the keys to the kingdom. Or hey, maybe it's what you think is a secret entry technique, a really specific pattern or some kind of candle formation that feels like your own hidden discovery. The one piece of information that will finally put you ahead of everybody else. It all kind of culminates in this search for the perfect setup, the one that never, ever fails. But this relentless search for a perfect system is really just a distraction. It keeps you glued to the screen, because the real edge, well, it isn't found on the chart at all. But if you watch the market long enough, you start to notice something interesting. The traders who are still standing year after year, they aren't the aggressive, fast-moving gunslingers. No, they are the quiet ones. The deliberate ones, the ones who seem to do almost nothing at all. And that single observation, that changes everything. And this brings us to the core battle that every new trader has to face: the illusion of activity. It's this deeply ingrained belief that to make any progress, you have to be constantly doing something. It's a cognitive trap, actually. It's known as action bias. This slide just paints such a powerful contrast. The beginner is glued to the screen, watching every single tick, every flicker of the price, just hoping the next candle is going to be the jackpot. It's frantic, it's reactive. The professional, on the other hand, is perfectly still. They're like a hunter in the wilderness, conserving their energy, observing the environment, and just waiting for that one high-probability moment to finally act. See, one is playing a game of chance, the other is executing a plan. And this impatience, it has a very real, very high cost. It tricks you into forcing trades on a quiet market, basically inventing patterns out of sheer boredom. Then it makes you chase a big move long after it's over, so you get in at the absolute worst possible price. And through it all, it's whispering this dangerous lie in your ear that any action is better than inaction. And that's a belief that slowly but surely drains your account. You have to understand, the market doesn't operate on your timeline. It has its own rhythm, and it levies this sort of silent tax on anyone who tries to rush it. Impatience is probably the most expensive mistake a trader can make, because it's a mistake you'll just keep paying for over and over again until you finally learn the lesson. So, mastering patience really begins with understanding the environment you're actually in. It means accepting the market's true rhythm, not the one you wish it had. And this chart reveals a fundamental truth. The vast majority of the time, we're talking like 80%, the market is just generating noise. It's moving sideways, consolidating, just choppy, unpredictable behavior. The actual high-quality opportunities, the moments where your edge is truly there, they're rare. Trying to trade in that 80% is like trying to sail in a storm with no wind. It's just not going to work. For the new trader, just sitting still during that 80% of noise feels like torture. It's not just boring, it's psychologically painful. The silence on the charts creates this vacuum, and your mind will just rush to fill it with doubt and second-guessing. And the first voice that shows up is the voice of self-doubt. You start to question your whole analysis. Is my strategy broken? Did I draw my lines wrong? Surely there must be a trade here that I'm just not seeing. Then comes the fear of missing out. Good old FOMO. You start flicking through other charts, other assets, convinced that the real party is happening somewhere else and you just weren't invited. And this frantic search, it only ramps up your anxiety. And finally, all that doubt and all that FOMO, it just culminates in this one desperate question. The pressure to just click the button becomes immense. You convince yourself that a small, low-quality trade is better than no trade at all. And this is the exact moment that discipline breaks. But here's the thing.
If you can survive this phase, something really profound happens. Every trader who makes it, eventually, they experience this shift in perspective. It's a moment of clarity that reframes the entire act of waiting. This moment almost always comes after a painful loss, a trade you took out of boredom or frustration. And when you review it later with a clear head, you see it. The setup just wasn't there. Your rules were ignored. The mistake wasn't your strategy, it was your failure to do nothing. The market didn't beat you, your own impatience did. And that single realization is completely transformative. All of a sudden, waiting isn't passive or weak anymore. It becomes an active, strategic choice. It feels like control. This is the moment that patience stops feeling like weakness and it starts feeling like power.
This new power shows up in very real ways. It's the strength to say no to a mediocre setup, which protects your capital for a truly A-plus opportunity. And when you stop forcing trades, the chart noise just fades away, and you begin to see the underlying market structure with incredible clarity. You naturally avoid unnecessary risk, and with every bad trade you successfully skip, your confidence just grows and grows. And the good news here is that patience isn't a personality trait you're born with. Not at all. It's a skill. And just like any other skill, it can be trained through deliberate, consistent practice. So let's look at how to actually build it. Okay, here are 3 powerful habits to build that skill. First, define your exact setup on paper. Be brutally specific. Create a non-negotiable checklist. If the market doesn't check every single one of those boxes, your only job is to do nothing. Second, artificially limit your trades. Just allow yourself 1 or 2 trades per day, or maybe even per week. When opportunities become a scarce resource, your mind is forced to be more selective. And finally, and this might be the most important one, at the end of the day, don't just review the trades you took. Review the bad trades you successfully skipped. Actively praise yourself for the discipline you showed. This literally rewires your brain to associate patience, not with boredom, but with success. When you start to integrate these habits, you arrive at this final, profound understanding. You realize your true edge in the market is not at all what you thought it was when you started. See, most people think trading is a game of prediction, of trying to guess what's going to happen next. It isn't. Professional trading is a game of timing. It's about waiting patiently for a predefined set of conditions to align, which gives you a statistical edge, and then executing without any hesitation. This image just captures the core philosophy perfectly. You cannot impose your will on the market. You can't force it to give you a setup just because you're sitting at your desk and you're ready to trade. You have to surrender to its rhythm, and you have to wait for it to come to you. Your job is not to dictate, but to respond. So the ultimate goal isn't just a profitable account. The real freedom that trading can offer is mastery over your own impulses, the ability to remain calm in the middle of chaos, and to act with discipline in the face of temptation. Because once you achieve that internal control, you'll find that no market, no loss, and no external event can ever truly shake you.